Okay, let's dive in. Picture this. Paris Fashion Week. Think June, then fast forward to October. Inside the Grand Palais, you've got this very hushed, almost sacred ritual, Chanel's big debut. But then, across town, completely different scene. A converted fire station, Le Caserne. It's this unauthorized viewing party, totally electric. 3,000 people crammed in, cheering like it's the World Cup. Seriously.
That contrast right there, it perfectly shows this massive strategic blind spot the big luxury Maisons seem to have. And smack in the middle of this cultural moment is Lyas Medini. He's 26, a content creator people know as Lyas.
Right, Lyas. And here's the part that's just wild. Only 4 months before, back in June, Lyas actually got turned away from Jonathan Anderson's Dior debut, rejected. But he didn't just, go home. No. He grabbed his TV from his apartment, found a bar nearby, and basically told his followers, hey, come watch the live stream with me.
And hundreds of people showed up. Just like that. Fast forward to October.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and suddenly Lyas is sitting front row at Chanel, at Dior, the very places he was kind of challenging. He's being courted by the system he disrupted. And our source material for this deep dive, it's a really sharp analysis from Mark Abergel. He's a luxury executive in Paris.
Yeah.
He argues this isn't some happy accident for the brands.
No, Abergel's point is pretty blunt, isn't it? He says Lyas didn't democratize fashion. He basically hijacked it. He proved there's this huge untapped demand for watching these shows together communally. But doing that, he totally exposed this major weakness in how luxury distributes its own content. A weakness they maybe didn't even see.
Exactly. So Lyas becomes this paradox. He's maybe the best thing to happen to luxury recently because he proved the content is highly desired, but he's also potentially their biggest threat. Because while the Maisons are pouring millions into the show, the IP, he's the one capturing the community, the data, their future customers.
Let's make that really concrete. Put some numbers on this loss of control. How big was the audience Lyas actually pulled in compared to the official shows?
The numbers are kind of staggering when you compare them. Take Chanel's debut for Mathieu Blazy. Inside the Grand Palais, maybe 1,000 people. Tops. Mostly VVIPs, press. Super exclusive.
Okay.
Across town, Lyas' party at Le Caserne. 3,000 people.
3,000?
He tripled the official audience.
Wow. Okay, and Dior, you mentioned Dior earlier. That comparison sounds even starker.
It really highlights the control issue. Inside Les Tuileries for Anderson's debut, maybe 300 seated guests. Highly curated list. First Lady of France was there.
Right. Very controlled.
Lyas' party for that same show. 2,000 people showed up.
2,000 versus 300. The official show is becoming the side show almost.
It's heading that way. And it's not just the sheer numbers, the head count. The real strategic loss is sovereignty, control. Inside the official venue, Chanel, Dior, they dictate everything. Who gets in, where they sit, the whole experience. At the watch party, Lyas was the gatekeeper. He decided which shows to screen, what the vibe was more like a buzzing sports bar than a solemn fashion event. He set the rules.
And that really cuts to the heart of Abergel's analysis, doesn't it? The Maisons create the expensive IP. Lyas grabs the audience. What was that quote Abergel used? The one about who's capturing what?
Oh, yeah, that was sharp. He said, fashion media crowns the democratizer. Nobody asks who's capturing the data, controlling the narrative, and building an empire on IP he didn't create.
Oof. Yeah, that's the blind spot right there.
That's it.
So let's break down how this power is slipping away. Abergel talks about 4 pillars of surrendered power. What's the first one?
Pillar 1 is access and distribution, and this is key. The Maisons are already live streaming their shows on Instagram, on TikTok, platforms they fundamentally don't own or control.
Right, they're already using third-party channels.
Exactly. So Lyas just taps into that existing stream, throws it onto a big screen, but then he adds the magic ingredient, real physical community, that shared experience, something an algorithm just can't replicate.
So he built the physical place for that digital stream. He becomes the new middleman, essentially, like the department stores were decades ago.
That's a perfect analogy. And it's working so well that even Meta, Facebook and Instagram's parent company, they actually sponsored him. They saw the gap he was filling, this need for physical, shared viewing that luxury itself was overlooking.
Okay, so that's access. What's the second pillar? Sounds like it's about the story itself, narrative and cultural framing.
Yeah. And this is where things get really twisted for the brands. The Maisons might spend millions and months crafting this perfect show, this narrative. But in Lyas' space, that multi-million-dollar show, it becomes almost background content, supporting material for his story.
His story being?
The focus shifts. It's less, Chanel unveils a stunning new collection, and more, look at Lyas's amazing movement democratizing fashion. He's the host, he's the curator, he dictates the meaning of the show for those thousands of people watching with him. The Maison is no longer the author of its own narrative in that context.
Which leads directly into pillar 3, I guess. If he owns the narrative, he owns the audience. Community and first-party relationships.
Precisely. He owns that audience. And who are they? Fashion students, young industry hopefuls, genuine obsessives. These are luxury's future core customers. And what do the Maisons get from this audience segment tuning into Lyas's party? Basically nothing. They're just, like, renting eyeballs for 45 minutes via stream. Lyas controls. They get no data, no email signups, no RSVP list. Lyas has that direct connection, that top-of-funnel relationship.
It's kind of baffling they had let this happen again. You mentioned the department store analogy. Luxury spent fortunes building their own stores to get that direct customer relationship back.
It's the exact same strategic fumble, just playing out in the digital and experiential space now.
Which brings us to the 4th pillar, data and engagement signals. This might be the most tangible loss.
Because Lyas is basically running a massive real-time focus group for free, using their content. That's exactly it. It's invaluable market research happening live. The Maisons spend fortunes producing the show, but they get almost zero actionable data back from this growing audience segment. Lyas, though, he sees everything. He knows which brand reveal pulls the biggest crowd, maybe 3,000 screaming for Chanel, but only 1,000 show up for Bottega Veneta in Milan, for example.
Wow.
He hears the gasps, the applause for specific looks. He sees the demographics, the social buzz, real revealed preference, data the Maisons would kill for, and he's getting it by leveraging their own IP.
And speaking of IP, he's distributing copyrighted material without permission. Legally, that's problematic. Yet, the Maisons are quiet. Why the silence? What's the paralysis Abergel points to?
Yeah, argues they're basically paralyzed by fear. They're terrified of looking anti-democratic.
The optics.
Exactly. Nobody wants to be the big bad luxury giant shutting down the cool kids party. So they hesitate, they stay silent, and meanwhile, someone else is building a powerful platform using their crown jewels for free.
That fear, the optics. It sounds so much like the music industry dealing with file sharing back in the day. Which leads us to the Napster paradox.
Yeah, Abergel calls this fashion's Napster moment. And as a powerful comparison, Napster proved there was enormous demand for easily accessible digital music. The music industry fought it tooth and nail legally. They technically won against Napster itself, but they lost the war. Why? Because they spent all their energy fighting access instead of building their own legitimate, desirable digital alternative.
Right, which paved the way for Apple's iTunes, then Spotify.
And artists effectively became tenants on platforms owned by big tech, forever renting space, never owning the distribution. That's the cautionary tale.
Okay, so that's the long-term risk, but couldn't the Maisons just tolerate Lyas? See it as free marketing, free buzz. His whole vibe is free entry, free beer, very anti-luxury scarcity. Why is that fundamentally incompatible?
Because luxury isn't just about the product. It's about the entire ecosystem, built on controlled desire, hierarchy, and yes, scarcity. Lyas's model fundamentally shatters that. Think about it. The client who spends, say, $500,000 a year, the VVIC, the very, very important client, they expect exclusivity, privileged access. That's part of the deal.
Right, the peers of access are crucial. VVICs, VICs, they get special treatment.
Exactly. But at Lyas's party, that VVIC is watching the same stream, at the same time maybe standing next to a student who's never bought a single luxury item. The hierarchy collapses.
It removes the reward for loyalty, the aspirational distance.
It completely flattens it. And Lyas himself basically said it. Fashion is by its nature unattainable. My parties are about the opposite. His model is fundamentally disruptive to the core principles of luxury.
This whole battle for control over distribution, it's not actually new for luxury, is it? We should probably connect this to Bernard Arnault's big moves back in the 90s.
Yes, absolutely. That history is critical context. When Arnault took full control of LVMH, one of his most radical, defining strategies was pulling back from department stores.
The middlemen of that era.
Precisely.
Yeah.
He decided LVMH needed to own the customer relationship, own the environment. So he invested billions in building their own retail flagships, those cathedrals of luxury.
So the strategic principle is exactly the same, just a different kind of middleman now.
Identical. Own your distribution infrastructure, or you end up paying rent, whether it's to a department store or potentially now to a platform like Lyas's or even big tech.
Okay, so doing nothing is clearly the path to becoming a tenant.
Hmm.
What are the solutions Abergel proposes? How can Maisons reclaim sovereignty? He lays out three options, right?
Yes, three strategic paths, and inaction is the worst one. Option A is the quickest fix. Acquire the leave movement.
You know.
Literally, hire Lyas, bring him in-house. Turn the watch party into, say, LVMH Live or Caring Collective.
Yeah.
You leverage his credibility, his audience connection immediately. But there's a risk of it feeling inauthentic, co-opted.
Right. Option B, that sounds more like building something themselves, build the competitor.
This is the immediate infrastructure play. Launch official, Maison-branded watch parties globally. Host them in their own flagship stores.
Ah, use their existing real estate.
Exactly. Neutralize Lyas by offering a better official experience. But here's the crucial difference. Tiered access.
Okay, explain that.
You maintain the luxury hierarchy. Your VVICs, they get private screening rooms, champagne, maybe meet and greets, VICs, priority access, reserved seating, general admission, limited spots, maybe via RSVP only. This way, you preserve scarcity, reward loyalty, and you capture all that valuable first-party data, the RSVPs, the emails. This is the fast solution.
And the third option? C. This sounds like the big one, disintermediate entirely.
This is the long game, the ultimate sovereignty play. Build your own dedicated broadcasting platform. Think F1 TV, but for fashion.
So a direct-to-consumer streaming service?
Exactly. Live shows, sure, but also archives, behind-the-scenes content, multiple camera angles, designer interviews, and crucially, tiered access built in. Maybe VICs get exclusive content, early access, or ad-free viewing. This gives the Maison total control over the content, the data, the narrative, and the customer relationship. It builds, as Abergel puts it, that cashmere moat big tech couldn't infiltrate.
So the best path forward isn't just one of these, but maybe a mix, a sequence.
It seems to be the recommendation, a hybrid approach. You need to act fast and build for the future. So launch option B, the flagship watch parties, basically now, immediately. Neutralize the immediate threat, start collecting data, reassert control over the physical experience.
Like to stop the bleeding.
Right. And while you're doing that, you start building option C, the owned streaming platform. Maybe beta launch it just for your VVICs by, say, January, get their feedback.
And then a wider rollout.
Aim for a full public launch by summer 2026. That gives you time to build it right.
The timeline feels incredibly tight, though.
Yeah.
You mentioned the music industry waited a decade after Napster.
And luxury absolutely does not have that kind of time. The pace of change is just too fast now. Look at Lyas. He went from zero, literally carrying a TV into a bar, to commanding thousands of fans in just 4 months. 4 months.
That's incredibly fast growth.
Abergel's warning is stark. The Maisons have maybe 12 months, maybe a year, to get serious about building this new distribution infrastructure. If they wait longer, they risk losing control of how their content is experienced, who profits from it, and who owns the customer relationship. Forever. They become content creators for someone else's platform.
So in a way, Lyas did them a favor. He provided the undeniable proof of concept. People want this communal viewing experience. The Maisons just need to take that blueprint, refine it, elevate it, and make it their own. Build the official sovereign infrastructure that respects their brand and rewards their actual customers.
He kicked the door down and showed them the room was full of people waiting to get in. Now they need to build their own better doors and maybe some nice velvet ropes.
Right. Build the stadiums, don't just complain about the guy who proved people wanted to watch the game together. Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. Luxury was maybe never just about who gets inside the exclusive show. Maybe it was always about who controls the door itself. The question now is, will the Maisons choose to build and own those doors, reclaiming their sovereignty? Or will they effectively hand the keys over to whoever builds the bigger stage?